Okay, I'm out here in the garden with my tomatoes, and every other day I pick the tomatoes. So, Toby, you want to bring me the basket? Oh, the smell. And I like to get them pretty ripe, pretty ripe. And so every other day I'll put them in a big roaster, and I'll cook them all down, and get them ready. I'll can them just like the juice, and then at the end of the season is all done, that's when I'll make my spaghetti sauces, my pizza sauce. What else is there? Just tomato sauce, diced tomatoes. Uh, what else do I make with that stuff? Oh yeah, ketchup, barbecue sauce. So like I said, I'll get these all gathered up and can the juice, and then later on, that's when I will, you know, make all that stuff. So, and right now, now these are just regular tomatoes. Oh, that one's a little too round. All right, let's go down here. All right, we can go ahead and show them. We have, now these here are mostly the ones that I eat like on sandwiches and stuff. All right, and then down here, these here are my Amish paste tomatoes. So I kind of feel for, if there's a little softness to them, then I pick them. Because I don't want them to, because we hadn't had, look how the size of those things. These are the Amish paste, okay? And they're pretty meaty, you know, tomatoes. Okay, tomatoes. You can, if you want to, all right, whatever. Just show me, just picking them. You know what I mean? Go ahead, Toby, you can put them away.
The big ones or the small ones?
All of them. Okay, these ones here, these are your Roman tomatoes. And they turned out, the Romans turned out pretty big. Bigger than what I've always had them. But like I told you guys before, put grass clippings down. In the fall, load it down with leaves. And again, this is very little grass that comes up. So there's very little weeding. We're gonna go ahead and finish picking these all up. And I got my hands full of tomatoes. Okay. Throughout the summer, I always get tomatoes, and then, what are you doing? You put that back. You thief. You tomato thief. Oh my goodness. Guys, anybody want a husband? He's free. Take him. I do not core this out. A lot of people will dig this out and then cut their tomatoes up. I bypass that. Come right here, cut right beside this, cut this out, cut down beside here. Now that one is a little bit deeper, so just cut it off. Let me show you again, right here. See? And then cut this off right there at the end. Okay, one more. Cut it down. Now you can get too close to this, end up with a little bit. So try to stay maybe 1/4 of an inch away from it. Okay, cut it down. Right there's the core, and I start about halfway. Let's cut that out right there. It's a lot quicker and easier that way. Instead of standing there, taking your tomatoes and coring all these out. All right, I'll be back with you when I get this rest of these all done here. I got these all cut up and I got them in my crock pot, and I will let them roast for probably, I don't know, 20 hours, 24, whenever I get around tomorrow to can them. I just take the tomatoes, I clean them, I cut them, and then I cook them in here, and then I love this thing. Here we go. And it just, show them what it does here. I'm sure a lot of you homemakers have this. Look at that. Tomato skins and all. Now, I will strain them, and then that way I can get all the seeds out. And then I will boil this down for a couple more hours, and then can them and put them in the jars. This is the neatest tool. And like I said, it did the skin and all and the seeds. And just look at that. Now, I'm going to go back and strain it and get all the pulp and stuff out. It's hot. Alright, and then I just keep smashing this down in. Get all the liquid out. Whoops. Okay, I'm going to keep doing this, and then I'll be right back. After I just keep squeezing this through, get all the juice, all the liquid out. And like I've always said, my videos, nothing goes to waste. Here is my bucket from canning and all this for today and our food. We throw it right in here. Free food for the chickens, folks. So, all right, I'm going to set this here. Let's continue with the rest of this. All right, and whoops, let me have my other spoon over there that I had. Oh, whoa, right here it is, right here it is. Okay, now this is what we have. Look at this. It's the juice from the tomatoes. Now, this is still pretty thin. I will still cook it down for about another couple hours, and then I'll can it in the jars here. At the end of the season, when all the tomatoes are done, then I will pull all these jars out, dump it in a big roaster, and out of that I will make a barbecue sauce, ketchup, spaghetti sauce, tomato sauce. So this is the way that, oh, and there's a pizza sauce also. And so this makes it nice, so that way I can do all that canning at one time at the end of the year. It's just quicker to preserve it this way. Now some people can put it in the freezer. You can do that too. All right, then I will be back. my jars. They're already been sterile. Just fill it up, and then I'll dump it in this pan because I'll use it later to fill up the canner with some hot water. Turn the stove on a little more. I think this is my, 5th time of canning tomatoes like this. I do the sauce. Speaking, okay. This is how I prepare my sauce for later on. And after canning seasons, everything's out of the garden. And then around November is when I start making my spaghettis and pizza sauces. Right here, earlier in the video, I showed you all the tomatoes. This is half of the tomatoes. This is what we're canning today. And then when we get done with this, then I'll put the other half in tomorrow. I kind of sorted them on how ripe they were. Oh, I'm out of lemon juice, but you can also use this here. This is for tomatoes, the citric acid. So it's a half a teaspoon for quart jars. Alright, here we go. Nice juice. Look at that. Now, this is really thin right now to be making tomato sauce and stuff with it. But again, later on, I'll open all these jars up and then I'll boil it down to the consistency that I want. And just, now I fill mine up right to the top rim there. Because you can make this pretty thick. And like I said in the beginning of the video, this is tomato skins and all. I just, like I said, threw the whole tomatoes in there. And then I took that machine that I showed you, the little hand thing, and it really pureed the skins up. Now, from my understanding, from some of you other professional video people who can tomatoes, I got my knowledge from that. The skins is it's kind of aids as a thickener also. So my tomato skins are also in here, and that little machine really did a good job purifying it. But now I did have to go back and get the seeds out. In another video that'll be coming up, once all my cherry tomatoes, I grow the very super sweet cherry tomatoes. And then I package them up into freezer bags, gallon freezer bags. And then again, once canning season's over and all the tomatoes are off the vines, then I'll go back. Would you mind putting the lid back on that to keep it hot? Thank you. Yeah, then I'll go back and I use it to make tomato juice with. The super cherry, the little small super cherries. They make great tomato juice. It has just a little bit of a sweetener to it. And when I go to make my chilies, I'll use the juice for that. And of course, hubby, he likes the juice also. I think it's sweet enough we don't have to add sugar to it, isn't it? When you use the super little cherries. Mm-hmm. All right, we got our bubbles out. Clean these jars off. If I'm not using meat, then I just use a damp hot rag here. Make sure all the juices are. Well, I know you don't have to put water in your lids. I've been doing it for years, and I just like doing it that way.
Sterilizes them.
It helps sterilize it. But I know it's not recommended. So I just take a little bit of this. I usually do this ahead of time. Let's put that in there. Not, you know, not for very long. Us old timers in canning, it's hard for us to change our ways. All right. Look, that's how beautiful, rich red that is. Not tight, just a little snug, finger tight. Oh, I don't like the way it felt. There you go. And I don't add salt or anything to it at this point. I only do that when I'm actually, you know, canning my sauces and stuff. So I'm going to set this aside. Take the rest of these out. The rest of that out here. I'm going to go ahead and pour it in here because I need that water to the top of your jars, about 1 to 2 inches on the top of your jars. So this is a water bath. All right, now let me lower these down in. Oops. Ow, it's hot. Down in. Then we'll go ahead, because these are really hot. So I got hot jars going into hot water. That way there'll be no jars that crack.
At least they shouldn't.
No, they shouldn't. But it does happen. Alright, while I keep put these in and finish filling up the jars, then I'll get right back with you. Alright. Got these last 3 jars filled. I'll get my water turned up. You want to go ahead and show inside the canner, please? It's still going to be a tad too much water. It has to go about 1 inch above, but I do have 1 more jar to put in. Okay, see the top? About 1 inch. Now here's how I tell. Let me show you a trick. Take a wooden spoon. Put it at the top of your jar. That's not quite 1 inch. That's how I tell. There you go. Now you bring this to a rolling boil, and once it starts rolling boil, then you time it for 40 minutes. And we'll be back. Now this is what a rolling boil is. That's a rolling boil. All right, our 40 minutes is up. Now, before I lift these up out, I will let this sit for 5 minutes. I'm going to let hubby bring it up out of the water. It's a little too heavy for me with my wrist. Okay, now I'm going to let it, I like to let it sit for about 5 minutes before taking the jars out. Well, that's so pretty. Hopefully none of them falls over here. Now I'll let these, I always let my jars sit for about 24 hours till the next day, and let them sit and cool off, and then I'll tap the tops of the lids, and if you don't get a ping pong, then you know they sealed. But make sure you don't take the lids off. Sometimes the rings, yeah. The rings, they can become very loose also in the canning process. That's okay. Don't touch them. Don't try to tighten them back down. There you go. Thanks for taking the time out to share this video. And so here we are with, I do this about twice a week. till I get all my salsas and that, and I'll store them downstairs. So, but take time, thank you again, and take care. Oh, hubby, always has to get in there.